out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Van, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. In the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighting up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint, calling plays like a coach. Every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite.
Wherever you might be. That's Henry, the Hump-Day camel. Named after Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake from MASH. Whenever you see Henry, you know it's Hump-Day. Coming up, Kion Brown will break down the Final Four. Damien Sordelett will stop by, the Tech football beat writer from the Roanoke Times. David Teel. And then Bill Roth, the voice of Tech football. Got a lot going on today. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Go see Mark, 155 Walters Drive. Also, our Professional Door Incorporated text line at 391-0788. Go see Travis Williams, residential commercial garage doors, family owner operated for 38 years. As we broadcast live from our Family Fencing Studios, get a free quote, 540-200-8294. Family Fencing, NRB.com. Thanks to the NRB Super Bowl. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. And thanks to you, wherever you might be here on this glorious Wednesday. Going to be a little overcast today. Hope the rain stays away. We have lacrosse today at 3. Also want to thank Sundown Electric, our newest sponsor. Excellent reputation, long list of satisfied customers, and superior craftsmanship located down in Elliston. Go give the Smith guys a call and wherever you might need them for, they will do better than anyone else. Family Fencing. Ready, Set, Fun. ReadySetFun.com. Bob Chris, CRST11 at Gmail. Again, it's a series of text messages to help you or your organization raise money that you need. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of this program. I just closed my refinancing deal with them. Awesome. The attorney Ryan Pry. Everybody is saying Arizona and UConn's going to win so far. Our BDST fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry, 701 West Main Street. As a matter of fact, every one of our 12 answers has had Arizona and UConn. Little River Heating and Air, 295 Radford Street in Christiansburg. The best in the business, 540-553-2971. That's Charles Lee. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program. Racetrack is open for business. Go have a great time. We already told you about McClellan. We've already told you about Family Fencing. Great stuff. Great stuff. Is that right? 250 years old this year. That's right. Wow. What's up, Vic? Yep. Bet the family farm, bet the family tractor. Go count your head of livestock and put those on the bet too. I believe you're right. Arizona going to come away victorious. Feels like that. Well, it could be wrong, but it feels like that. So we had baseball last night on a Tuesday at Williams Field. Beautiful night. Virginia Tech and Radford. Really big crowd. But then Tech jumped out early, kind of took control of the game. Radford never was really in it after the couple second inning, but it morphed into one of those things that turns out to be what's wrong with midweek college baseball. You have to understand when you go to a midweek college baseball game that the whole setup is usually different, from the lineup to the way they use pitchers to everything. It's basically a scrimmage. It's basically extended work, getting work in, but it counts on your record. Last night, there were a total of, I want to say, 16 pitchers used between the two teams. 16. There were 7 hit batsmen between the two teams. Tech hit 5 Radford hitters. And there were 13 taken called strike threes. I've never seen anything like that. Guys just would not swing the bat, especially in a game that was lopsided on the scoreboard. And by the way, you start a game at, officially at 6:05. And when you walk out of there at 9:45, well, 3 hours and 40 minutes. It was a marathon. And then you had the bizarre situation. Usually in midweeks, non-conference midweeks, coaches will get together. And if it becomes to the point where somebody gets a 10-run lead after 7 innings, the game will end. You see that all over the country. So Tech did not get a 10-run lead until the 8th inning, and both dugouts emptied, thinking the game was over. Coaches are out there getting ready to shake hands, and then the umpire said, no, game's not over. Game is not over. Because apparently no one contacted the umpire, so they didn't know ahead of time, so they can't implement the slaughter rule. So then you had to play a 9th inning that really extended the game by half an hour, because by then you're using pitchers that nobody usually sees during weekends. No high leverage relievers are coming in. So, yeah. Tech goes to Miami, and Radford gets to host USC Upstate coming up this weekend. So that was my Tuesday night, the never-ending game. Bizarre. Never seen both dugouts empty thinking the game's over, and the umpires send them back, say, nope, nobody told us. We got to play the 9th. Okay. At that point, it was 13-3. But I got to see Morris. Morris was out there. It was great. Great to see him. If I were a Division I college basketball coach, would I wear a suit or would I dress casual? I'll dress casual. It's sports. I'm not wearing a suit when I broadcast, and I'm not wearing a suit if I'm coaching it. I just think I understand that used to be the trend, and I get it, I guess. But no, I wouldn't slop out. I would try to wear something that looked professional. But no, I want to be comfortable, man, if I'm coaching college basketball. I don't want to be wearing a damn suit. That's the only evolution of the new game that I like. I see broadcasters wearing a suit. I'm just like, what are you doing? You're on camera for brief, maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Then you got to sit there the rest of the game in a suit. It's sports. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be relaxed. It's supposed to have casual mindset. You don't need to be sitting there all dolled up. What are you doing it for? 13-5 was the final. Tech walked 4 Radford hitters in the ninth because they're using the bottom of their bullpen. Again, guys that don't pitch much, that haven't had success. And that's what it morphs into. It's not really – so if you go watch a weekend series, it's a much different type of baseball than what you see in a midweek. It's just the way it is. Very seldom do you have a normally paced midweek game, because you're not using your leverage pitchers. You're not using any of your starters. You're not using any of your relievers that you count on during conference weekends. It's different when you have midweeks and conference play hasn't started. You have your rotation set up for the weekend. It's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday guys, but you're still maybe developing some relievers. You're not quite sure about your lineup. So it'll feel more like real weekend baseball. But when you get to where Tech and Radford are in their season, heading into April, last night was what it was. 16 pitchers used between the two teams. 13 taken top 13 taking strike threes. Yeah, it's for everybody. It's a little different. It's a little different because they have obviously a little deeper rotations, deeper pitching staffs, deeper bench players. But yeah, it's the same thing because they want to protect their weekend guys. And that's what makes sense, but it's not ideal. And you're there for 3 hours and 45 minutes. He's back now. 3 hours and 45 minutes. Creed is doing the whole inside out dance here. Here we go. So yeah, it is the same. But Tech goes to Miami and Radford hosts Upstate this weekend, starting tomorrow night. Vic, I think it just shows you, puts the final nail in the coffin for me with the NBA. They have players starting on rosters that have been found guilty of domestic abuse. You name it. Coaches can go up and they can spout off about whatever they want just because of their politics. Nothing is said and done. Jaden Ivey spoke out about his Christianity and how he disagreed with a certain lifestyle. That's his right, whether you agree with him or not. That's not the point. But the fact that the Bulls cut him and nothing comes from the league about it kind of tells you what the NBA's mindset is. It's completely one-sided with who can say what they want and who can go out and have an opinion and who can't. And it's pretty transparent what this means, right? Would it have happened to a player who was from a different religion, who practiced a different religion? Is it because it was strictly Christianity? Good morning, Chris. How are you? I mean, actions speak louder than words. So it's not even about whether you agree with what he said or not. It's about what the league's what the Bulls did, the reaction to immediately fire him. But yet, if he'd had an opinion that the league promoted, even if it had been, I don't know, something critical of something else, he'd have been just fine. And it pretty much sums up everything about the NBA. I mean, it's a horseshit league that has no leadership, that is an unwatchable product, and they've allowed their politics, they've used the entire platform, just like you see the access media and Hollywood and what they use to get across what they believe. Exactly. Steve Kerr can get up there and say whatever he wants. It's just fine. Anybody else can say that because it falls in line with what the league believes. But somebody gets up there because, of their Christianity, what they feel like they're strongly about. He didn't say anything derogatory. He just said, this is what I believe. He was asked a question, or maybe he just said it himself. I don't know. But yet he gets fired, gets cut. So it's going to be a massive lawsuit. It's going to be bad for the NBA for a while. They will ignore it. They will do nothing. That's just the way it goes today. You won't hear a word from Adam Silver. You won't hear a word from anybody from the Bulls. But this whole thing with Jaden Ivey's, I don't think it's just going to go away like they want it to be. Yeah, he didn't have any hate speech. He didn't go into any derogatory comments. He just said how he felt about it. That's all he did. That's all he did. And that's where one of the biggest problems that you have today. It's okay to cancel people in certain escalations, but in others, it's just completely ignored and even encouraged. What's up, James? Welcome. Please subscribe, like, and share. What's up, Mr. Is it Dunham? Mr. Dunham? Yeah, greed kills everybody, not only America. Greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. But what happened to Jaden Ivey? And you don't see anybody in the league because they know, right? This is walking the line. I haven't seen anybody stand up for him. Maybe a few guys have. I don't know. But if I'm in the league and this is where it becomes, hey, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to rock the boat. You don't have a lot of self-worth if you just walk around all the time. Oh, what are they going to think? And like I said, it'd be different if he had hate speech. It'd be different if he said something that was, and you got to go, no, you can't just put down a group of people. You may not agree with a lifestyle, but you don't put those people down. That's their lives and how they live, and that's who they are. But that's not what he did. But the question I will answer, Vic, is I believe that if he were not Christian, this would not have happened. I 100% believe that. 100%. But this is where we are now. This is where we are in this country. We're going into Easter weekend, and watch how it is not hardly even mentioned. It won't be mentioned by anybody on, in sports, television. But this is where we are in 2026. Yeah. But all it does is reiterate what I already thought about that league, so it's fine. It's not like oh no, I can't believe. After the way the NBA was with the kneeling and the immediately hating half the country after the election, good luck. Enjoy. Have a great league. Cheers. Did you know that the random Diamondbacks-Dodgers game that showed up on Paramount last week outrated the NBA national broadcast? That's right. A second or third game of the season in baseball outrated NBA primetime. I saw that graphic last night. That league's got massive problems. I don't know if it just feels like since somehow it got a media rights deal that it's in the clear, but wow. College basketball tournament exploding, by the way. It's not a basketball thing. It's strictly an NBA thing because these numbers here that I have are absolutely incredible. This is the most watched NCAA tournament since 1993. It's had nearly 11 million viewers. The UConn-Duke game peaked with 19 million. Now, again, Duke is the TV cash cow, so the Final Four not going to have this kind of ratings in all likelihood. But people are flocking to the college basketball tournament. Right? So it's not a basketball problem for the NBA. It's what they are. What they have is not basketball. What they have is a legacy of politics and bias that people are not stupid. They catch on. And then they watch a brand of basketball where nobody is playing defense. Nobody's giving much effort. Guys are complaining if they don't get their 15, 17 games off. The culture of that league is destroying it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And, man, I tell you, I used to love the NBA. It used to be, for me, it was the NFL and the NBA. So it kind of breaks my heart, to be honest, to see where it's at today. I absolutely loved the NBA back in the day. I did. Absolutely loved it. Watched Moses Malone. You remember Bob Lanier, big Bob Lanier for the Bucks? I used to love watching him play. Kareem, from Milwaukee to the Lakers, even before, this was before Magic and Bird. I was little, but I remember those games. Dr. J. I mean, it was just the league was so good. And then you got into the 80s and it exploded even better. Into the 90s, early 2000s. I mean, the league was doing fine. But the fish always rots from the head. When an organization or something starts to fail and things don't go well, you always look at the top. And the NBA is completely run by a schmuck, much like Major League Baseball. The commissioners are terrible. They don't care about their game. They just care about the optics. What's up, Morris? From the Coach Elmo fishing spot on New River, where I grew up, to Rick Watson's beloved RU Sports Mecca, where he sips a Pepsi Cup. BDST is live and online. Great to meet you last night, man. And see, he came out to Williams Field. The first thing he said was, wow, this is beautiful. It was was a beautiful night. Game wasn't very good, but it's a beautiful night. It was good to see you, man. Thanks for coming out. And we are going to do the show meetup. We're going to do it. We're going to do it at the Super Bowl. I'm going to wait till the seasons are over with. We're going to get into the summer a little bit. Coach Elmo will be back and settle down. And yeah, Coach Elmo is going to be there. We're going to try to get Burnip there. So yeah, we're going to do that. I don't know. Sometime in the summer, we're going to do that. We'll let you know when, but we will do it at the Super Bowl. But we got to get this guy there. You got to come to the meetup in the summer. I mean, you got to make a trip.
Man. Absolutely. I'm on a trip right now, dude.
Yeah, where are you, by the way? Where'd you go?
I'm in the Outer Banks with my wife.
Are you really?
Yeah. The spring break for me.
Oh, that's cool. So that's a real backdrop.
That is a real backdrop.
Oh, that's sweet. Look at that. Oh, KB's got the Outer Banks. That's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, man. This is my wife's thing, man. My wife's family is having a vacation. She said, you're going. And I'm having a good time, though. I'll say that. I'm having a great time. Thanks to her.
Good. Yep. Good. There you go. Well, good.
Yeah, right.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
So that just looks fake.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought maybe you had like a new screen. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But no, that's real.
That's a real thing. It is a real thing.
I love the way you can see how the sun's coming up from the coast. That's the way it works. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So it's not here yet, but it will be.
Yeah, it's coming. Cool. But can I say UConn is a blue blood? Can we start off with that?
Oh, here we go.
Can we please start off with that?
Sure.
Come on, man. What are we doing? It's been 30 years, man.
Is that long enough? Now, seriously, is that long enough?
3 decades? Come on, dude. Absolutely.
They didn't come on to the mid to late 90s.
Yes, mid-90s, yeah. Won the first chip in 99. Yeah, absolutely. Every coach that they've had since Calhoun has won a championship. They've built something.
What happened to Kevin Ollie? You mentioned him. What happened to him?
Yeah, it was a crash course for him. He won that national championship, and then it went down some administration stuff. You know how that behind-the-scenes stuff goes. Yeah, man.
I always wondered because it looked like he was going to be the next star coach there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
He had one of the most impactful runs, and I'll tell you why. It's because he had Shabazz Napier on that team, and after they won the national championship, this is when I was still at Radford, he won the national championship. CBS puts the microphone right in his face, and he goes, man, I love coming and making it this far because back at school, we don't eat. And he said, no, we literally don't eat. We need more food at school. So the next day, the NCAA changes the rule. And then they're like, all right, you can have unlimited meals based on what your athletic department spends on you. So everybody at Radford was eating good the next day, like in the snap of a finger. Because when I first got to Radford, they could give you a peanut butter sandwich. But if they added jelly and made it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it was an NCAA violation. That is true. For all our listeners, that's a real thing.
So in today's world, he probably would have just been okay, right?
Yeah.
Right? Nobody would say anything to him? Is that right?
Yeah, he would have been fine.
He'd have been fine.
Over a sandwich. A sandwich could have cost you your eligibility. What world do we live in with the NCAA?
Ridiculousness.
Yeah.
I remember getting lectured, former player of ours, it was pouring down rain. I mean, it was pouring down rain. He's coming across the bridge. He didn't have an umbrella. So I said, hey, man, jump in. Well, word got out. You gave a benefit. What?
Yeah.
Well, I gave a kid who I know well and really like, one of our student athletes, a chance to get inside the building before he got drenched to the point he couldn't, I was like, really? That's a violation? Okay, well, then I'm going to continue to – and I told the people, I said, well, I'm going to continue to commit that violation because it's called humanity.
And then at the same time, that's when we would walk to Dedmon for practice in 5 feet of snow. And then all of you guys would just zoom past us down the bridge. And all of my teammates who didn't follow college the way that you think a Division I athlete would follow college, like, why can't they take us? I'm like, keep walking.
That's right.
I'll explain later.
we're all just like, we'll see you in a little while. Sorry.
I'll explain later, dude. It's
Wow.
2 degrees out here, pouring down with snow.
Y'all sliding down the sidewalk.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, those were the times.
Wow. But anyway, we're in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Your thought? I hate Arizona. Michigan's not going to be the final game.
Yeah,
really do.
because that's essentially, to me, the championship game. I don't think UConn is good enough to beat them. I love Illinois, and I thought that they would beat Houston in Houston, but I just don't think that they have enough. Especially, I think it's Arizona's to lose. Yeah. And we've been high on them since the start of the tournament, and rightfully so. They're putting on display why. So dominant, can shoot the 3 when they need to, can play on the inside. You know, they're just the team that's been consistent all season long. And, you know, if Duke would have been 100% healthy coming into the tournament, I probably would have favored them because of how well they were playing against the Michigan States on the road and Michigan in the neutral court. And, you know, just how they dominated the game. But when the tournament started, you and I both said it, somebody's going to get them. Now, the way that they got was self-inflicted. There was a lot of stupidity losing such a big lead. But at the same time, that's March.
Yeah.
And every time something's in March, you know, you're going to get that text message from me, March. That means something happened that you just wouldn't expect. And it was Caden Boozer with a freshman mistake, not holding the basketball when that's all you literally had to do.
You squeeze it, right? Just get down in the hunch and squeeze it.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Watch the clock, and you're going to get smacked around.
You don't even take a jump ball before you take a deflected pass that leads right into the hands of a flow of offense that turned into, you know, transition offense that's so hard to cover. That's what you'll take. But again, freshman mistake. As good as a Camden Boozer or Caden Boozer are, those are 2 guys that just, they've never been in that situation. It's almost like Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer when they were at Purdue and they were playing against Fairleigh Dickinson in the tournament 4 years ago.
Yeah.
The pressure was too much, but they were true freshmen. And they were playing well all season long. You have Zach Edey, who's the National Player of the Year, but you also have 2 freshman league guards that don't know how to handle that pressure. Kind of got a glimpse of that with Caden Boozer.
And you and I was talking, and I see it's weird. I did see somebody talk about it afterwards. I don't think he has a spot in the next level. Not that the NBA is some kind of grand, you know, appointment nowadays, but I mean, I don't see him continuing very successfully in his pro career.
And you mean Cam Boozer, right?
Cam Boozer, yeah. I don't see him having a spot. Yeah.
He's going to be a lottery pick. He's for sure going to be a top 5 pick. But what I think his path to success is in the NBA, even though he's not that guy that's going to consistently stretch the defense, and he can develop that, is a guy like Paul Millsap. You remember him from the Utah Jazz?
I do.
He just played hard. Yeah. If you can do that, you'll be fine. Because everybody needs a guy like that. If he can be a Paul Millsap, I think he has a successful career. Because Paul Millsap was an all-star. He's a forgotten guy, especially since he played in Utah and Atlanta. But he was really good when he was at his peak. And that was because he outworked everybody. And that's a skill set that Cam Boozer has. He plays extremely hard. And he's physical. He'll continue to grow into that body. He's only 19 years old. He's a young man who will continue to grow. His dad was in the league. So he'll be experienced as far as what to expect when he gets to the NBA. So his dad was a beast. I think ultimately he'll be fine. Will he be an AJ DeBonza? Will he have a ceiling like AJ DeBonza? I don't think so. Does he have a ceiling like a Darren Peterson? I don't think so. Does he have a ceiling like an Acuff Jr. out of Arkansas? I don't think so. But at the same time, he's going to add some type of value because of how hard he plays, his physicality, and that strength, in my opinion.
He needs to look more like you, though, in the shoulders and the chest.
Yeah,
I noticed him the other day in an interview. Yeah, he's not going to be able to do all this backing in and thinking he's going to get leverage against those guys. Those guys are going to be like, "What are you doing, man?" They're just going to bounce
He'll
off.
grow into that. He definitely will. You can see his dad in that body frame. When you want to see how big somebody will get, look at the dad. Look at the dad's upper body and look at the mom's legs. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
Hey, Carlos, how are you? My name's Rick. Can I see your wife's legs?
Yeah, there you go. I know we had a teammate who will remain unnamed, who would always pick his girls based on their athletic ability and based on what the potential kid could be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Wow. Who would that have been?
It was me. I'm not even
Was that
lying.
you?
Yeah, I'm not going.
That was you.
Yeah, you see my wife now. She's a bodybuilder.
Is she really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, she had to go through a combine before she got selected by me. Yeah, I had to run her 40. I had to see her shoe size. I had to see her wingspan. She got a long wingspan. That's a real thing.
That's pretty cool. Cool. Hey, T-Bird's asking, Kion, do you see the Dolphins out this morning? Are they out in the ocean?
I do not. I'm going down there in a second, though. But it's getting brighter and brighter.
You going to get in? You going to jump in the ocean?
I'm going to put my feet in there.
Yeah,
I don't do water.
No, I don't like jumping in an ocean. I'm with you.
Yeah. I don't like jumping in a pool. I'm good. Yeah. I don't care how tall I am. Dude, my feet are the most that's going in there.
Feet are fine. Feet and ankles is okay, but I don't want to be like, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
What about Illinois? You mentioned you like them. What have they done to get here? They've kind of just snuck into this thing, right? I don't know anybody had them in the Final Four unless they're Illinois fans. Maybe somebody just being loyal. But what is it about Illinois? How do you think they've gotten here to the Final Four?
Coach Underwood paying his dues, and it's just being his time. And we say this all the time. If you make it to a Final Four, you had a successful season. Those guys have been right there in that next tier of the teams that we thought could be a team that made a run. We knew about Duke. We knew about Arizona. We thought Houston could make a run. We knew about Michigan when they were healthy. But Illinois was that team that had such a consistent offense where it was like, man, the wrong matchup in Illinois is going to ruin it. That's why when I saw them over there with Houston, I said it's over for Houston. I just knew it because what we know about Houston and Coach Sampson is that their defense does travel, but their offense doesn't travel. And I think that's the next step for Houston, being able to recruit consistency on the offensive end. They play so hard on defense. They're the best defense in the country, in my opinion, that it takes away from their offense. You might have to take your foot off the gas a little bit if you want to see some change come this time in March. They always make it to the second weekend, but once they get that matchup against a squad like Illinois, who plays such explosive offense and can shoot from the three, can play from the mid-post, can drive the basketball, can be physical on the inside, can offensive rebound, can knock down free throws, they always struggle. So I thought that will be the key for Illinois in this tournament. You get the right bracket, you'll be able to make a run. And then fortunately, you get an Iowa team that knocks off Florida, so you're in the path least resisted heading into the Final Four. You get that matchup, you knock out a really good coached Iowa squad, and now you find yourself in the Final Four. So hats off to Coach Underwood because he deserved it.
Tommy Lloyd.
Yep.
Feels like the Carolina connection rumors won't go away. He's not doing a whole lot to fan them. Do you think that's a done deal? I've heard some people think that it's a done deal behind the scenes.
Well, when you answer the question as politically correct as he did yesterday, you start to think that, that might be it for him. And then for me, it's either Tommy Lloyd or Nate Oates. I think that's where you go. You got folks talking about Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith?
Oh, for the love of God.
I heard you talking about that with Marva yesterday. Kenny Smith? That is ridiculous.
No.
Are you kidding me? That would be the worst move. I'd rather get Jerry Stackhouse than Kenny Smith. At least Jerry Stackhouse has some experience at Vanderbilt. But now you heard Jerry Stackhouse name. Just because he was an alumni, you got to interview him. But that would be the wrong move as well. Go Tommy Lloyd. You go, or you go Nate Oates. That's it. That's the only place you go if you're North Carolina. You don't look. You got to go outside of the family. It's 2026. It's time to move on.
It's time to grow up.
Dean Smith, it's over. And then with this new coach that you got coming in, you need to relocate your gym or build a new gym because the Dean Smith Center ain't it anymore. It's old. It's run down. It's still a cathedral of college basketball. It's one of the top, arenas because the first thing that you do when you go into that building is you look up and you see all of the history. But it's not a building like a Cameron Indoor where the older it gets, the better it gets. You tried to go modern at a time, and like most modern things, they come to an end, and now it's time for a new arena for Carolina. So if you bring in Nate Oates, if you bring in Tommy Lloyd, also build a new facility because you need it.
And nobody's going to outbid them, right? I mean, I know if they win the Natty, Arizona's going to say, hey, we can give you this and that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But it seems like it's way too quiet around the Carolina hire, and you still have a guy in the Final Four, and it won't go away. And you're right. The way he answered that yesterday felt like we've heard that before, doesn't it?
But if you win a national championship, do you leave?
I don't know.
How hard is that to leave? How hard is that to do? I can see somebody leaving after a Final Four run. Although that's a successful season, that's not a national championship, but you want to try to run it back, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It just comes down to the personal decision you have to make. It's going to be interesting.
Carolina's a mess right now. It's a mess over there.
It is a mess. It is a mess. The whole Belichick thing puts a shadow over the whole department, I think. It just feels like it's got this identity that it never thought it was going to get by bringing in Bill Belichick. Wow.
Yeah, and then in the brand of Carolina, it's always been basketball. Always. So it's like you got to make the right hire. You said it yesterday. It's the best job in college basketball.
I mean, it is.
You certainly can argue that. It's either that or Kentucky. Those are the two.
With the fans and the
Absolutely. Yeah, those are the two. And that brand of Carolina basketball, and they just haven't been very good for long since Roy Williams. And then I'll give it to Hubert Davis. He made that Final Four run, but that was those are Roy Williams' guys.
Correct.
We know that. R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot. He inherited a great squad.
Exactly.
And all you had to do was hope that those guys stay healthy. They were healthy for the most part. And then you have that big lead against Kansas in the national championship game. I'll never let Hubert Davis live this down. In the second half, you got David McCormick, who was in foul trouble with 3 fouls in the first, and you don't attack him. He crushes you. Armando Bacot snaps that calf muscle or whatever it is, and that was a good night, Irene. So, and then after that, Hubert Davis pretty much does nothing in Carolina.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fascinating to see which direction they go. They have to get it right. They have to. I don't think Kentucky's gotten it right with Pope. I don't think that was a bad hire. Duke seemingly has the right guy in Shire, but he doesn't do well in big games in the tournament. He's now got a little bit of a legacy going, right?
He does, but at the same time, most of the great coaches don't win very fast. It takes these guys 15 years to win a national championship. There's not been a guy like a Coach Shire who has, come in and just hit the ground running the way that he has. 3 ACC tournaments. He's like 126-20 or whatever it is. And they've got the right guy there. I truly believe that. But I think the key for Duke moving forward is if you're going to consistently get those number one guys, the Cameron Boozers, the Caden Boozers, the Jason Tatums, we got Cooper Flagg, who was there a season ago. Those guys who will continue to take you on Final Four runs or pursuits. Will they have that in the future? I don't know. So you got to get it right because with no rules with this transfer portal thing, you just don't know what you have every single year. They're fortunate to get the best freshman that they can possibly be that's going to take them on second weekend runs in the tournament. I don't think they have a class as good as the last two that they've had coming in this year. So we'll see.
Jeff Goodman wrote last night, or maybe it was this morning, over 800 players are already reported to be in the portal, and it's not even open yet. It doesn't even open until next week. Over 800 college basketball players already.
Yeah, man. Are you surprised?
No. Not at all. But I feel that way. My first thought is always I am surprised, right?
Yeah.
Did you sneeze?
Yeah.
I thought you did. But yeah, I've never seen. I mean, you're right. I'm not surprised, but it's like when you realize that many are in there and it's not even open yet. It's just bizarre to me. It's the pre-portal. I learned about a pre-portal. I didn't know.
There you go. No, it's a real thing. You see the guys making announcements. I intend to put my name in the transfer portal once it opens. I see guys leaving Longwood left and right. I see guys leaving Winthrop, Charleston Southern left and right. It's just the new age of college basketball. Something has to get done, man. This can't go on forever. I mean, if it's a student athlete thing, you got to be in a situation where, man, what's the best for these guys to graduate? Last year, this is a real thing. There were only 20 players in Division I who was at a school for 4 years. That is unacceptable. That is crazy. So when you see these student athletes and they're in a situation where you say this is their fourth school in 4 years, they're not graduating.
No.
And that's a problem. That is a real problem because all these guys, 98% of these guys aren't playing overseas. They aren't going to the NBA. They're going to be regular citizens working 9 to 5s, trying to make a living, trying to make a good life. And the least that you can do is graduate.
Right.
So if you keep transferring, those credits don't go with you. So then if you need 22 credits, I don't know, to graduate, by the time you're at your fourth school, you only be at 13. Your eligibility is going to run out. Your scholarship is going to run out. And then at the same time, you're not going to have what you need to walk across that stage. So unfortunate. And people don't think about that, and it drives me nuts.
Prometheus says it right. You go from no jelly, your story from earlier, to $3 million contracts.
Yeah, and then that's not everybody getting that. So just because you're entering the transfer portal doesn't mean that you're getting money. The transfer portal is a trend right now. It is not what's best for these guys' career, what's best for these guys' lives moving forward. It is a trend. It's the sexy thing to do. And if you're able to stay at your school, stay, develop, outwork the man that's right there with you that plays the same position as you if you want playing time. That's how it was done before this transfer portal. That's how it needs to continue to be moving forward, which it isn't right now. They just out-recruit you, over-recruit you. But these guys are putting themselves in position to where, you're just not going to have a successful career outside of basketball. And that's so unfortunate. It's actually heartbreaking to me. But if the NCAA doesn't care, these coaches are going to think, why should I care as well? It's not about the relationships. That's why you got Will Wade like a thief in the night. You wake up, he's the NC State coach, and then you wake up, it's like, my goodness, he's at LSU.
I'm back. Well, in the NCAA, I'll say this: they have the self-awareness to know they have no power. I saw 2 days ago they lost another lawsuit with FanDuel. The betting, something about the way they can promote. Hey, look, if you've got a contract with them, you can't all of a sudden say you're against betting.
Yeah.
Every court case they go into, they lose. And so they know that. And I don't know how it's everything. I don't know, KB, what's going to happen to make it. How do you wrap your arms around this now? I don't think it can be stopped. I really don't.
Yeah, it can't be.
Who's going to do it? I don't know who's going to do it.
I don't. That's their problem to deal with. Good thing we don't have to, but you got to put some type of committee out there. I mean, you just have to put rules in place. If you're going to have a buyout or a transfer market, 2 year, the least you can do is 2-year contracts. If you transfer, there has to be a buyout, just like the coaches. That's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start there, right?
I like that. Sure.
I mean, we got to do something, right? 2 years at least.
Yeah. The schools can start doing it. I said this all along. There's no rule saying you can't. If the SEC, let's just talk about the football side, were to say every pay-for-play contract we have is going to be what you're saying, 2 years, penalties if you leave, incentive clauses, you get paid like a professional the way it's supposed to be drawn out, then maybe you get some sanity in all this. I don't know.
The high majors don't want that, though, because they know they can't go to the Big South and steal a Carlik Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's the problem.
Cheaply.
Right? Right. You got Coach Jones developing this guy, making him who he was. Well, Carlik Jones was always that guy, but you know what I'm saying. Continuing to develop him and make him one of the best players in college basketball. And then, he becomes the number one transfer portal, golden jewel when he puts his name in there. And now everybody says Carlik Jones, Louisville, when we know that he was a Radford Highlander.
He's a Highlander. Come on.
Right? So at least if you're going to steal the players that we find in these small gyms in the AAU tournament, that we find, in the small cities of Ohio, we get some type of compensation for you coming and stealing them and he coming to your program.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that realization has hit all the coaches in the Big South. I like to have conversations before we turn the mic on. And trust me, every one of them says, we know we're going to lose all of our guys.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be 13 or 14 new guys every year. That's what we sign up for now. And we have to just swallow hard and go forward and try to find a new team every year.
And some coaches are embracing it, though. They're saying, all right, I can't pay you the way Arizona, a Power 4 school can pay you. But what I can do is put you in position to get paid. Come play for me for a year. And then we have all of this talent on our roster. Then enter the transfer portal and get your money. So it's pretty much based off of how you play here. That's how much money you get. It's not coming from us. It's not coming from this particular school, but it's all on you. You're basically gambling on yourself. And if you win, you enter the transfer portal, you'll get paid. If not, you'll probably be here or in the MEAC somewhere next season.
That's right. And that's what you sound just like the coaches. That's what they're telling me. That's their selling point.
Yeah.
Come to us. We'll get you in position for your next payday. You come here. Yeah. We're going to play you the way you need to play to expose who you are, all your great qualities. And they go, okay, so you're like my next step up. Yeah, come here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's how I do it. Until something changes, that's what you have to do. Because if you're at a high major program and you enter the transfer portal, you're just looking to get some playing time and some film, right? And that's how Radford's able to get a guy like Brian Antoine, who all my years, and it's been a decade since I last put on a Radford jersey. If you would have told me that a guy from the McDonald's All-American game was playing at Radford, I would have looked at you so crazy and said, that's impossible. But there are some perks to the transfer portal if you're able to recruit right. But now this thing's just out of hand.
Tech has lost 3 players.
And including Neo Abdalis.
Yes.
He put his name in the portal.
Which didn't surprise, I don't think, a lot of people.
It didn't surprise me at all either. And he's a guy that probably needs a new home. He had that one game versus, Providence earlier this season, and we thought that he was the best thing since back pants pockets. And after that, it's been, I don't know what it's been. You can find another guard like a Neo Abdalis in the portal. You can do that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I want to ask you something that has nothing to do with sports. Somebody was asking me, I don't know if it was here on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe personally. And I said, I'll tell you who you can ask about that show. It's Kion. If I'm not mistaken, what do I know? My brother from The Wire is your all-time favorite show, correct?
The Wire, we'll say, for sure. I have so many, but yes.
You love The Wire. Right.
It's like a coin flip. If you ask me this today, I'll say The Wire. If you ask me tomorrow, I'll say Breaking Bad. You ask me the day after that, I'll say Better Call Saul.
I know you like both. Yeah, all 3 of them. But so somebody was asking me about The Wire. I said, I've never seen it. I've not intentionally not watched it. I just never have.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll tell you who does love that. And I said, it's Kion Brown. I believe it's
absolutely. So many of The Wire references when I'm broadcasting the game. So many. And it was so relevant to that early 2000s time, showing you how they imported the narcotics, showed you how they used the media for the narcotics. Every season it went a different route. So the last season ended with how the school system is. It just tied in so beautifully. It was great. And it was in the inner city of Baltimore, and it was a real thing. They will film on the streets of Baltimore, and then the Kingpins was like, all right, filming's over. We got to make our money, so we need our streets back. That is a real thing. So all of those people that were in the show were really about that. They were really about that life. So that's what I can appreciate, the authenticity about it.
Well, that's why it was so good, right?
And you know who started on there? It was Michael B. Jordan. He started out on that show. He was like 13 years old, maybe.
On The Wire?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He was one of the corner boys.
How is Better Call Saul? I've never seen that either.
So Better Call Saul was a spinoff of Breaking Bad. So what happened with Breaking Bad was I caught COVID when it first hit or whatever. So I was stuck in the house for a week. And then at the same...
the seagulls are coming after you. Hey, they love the show. Tell them.
And then at the same time, when I caught COVID, I needed something to watch. Me and my wife had it at the same time. So we said, let's just start Breaking Bad. And we got hooked. So then we noticed that Vince Gilligan, the guy who made Breaking Bad, he grew up in Richmond. So that made us fans automatically since he's from the same place as us. And then we just started Better Call Saul, which was actually on at the time we finished. So we just picked up from there and everything was great. That's a great one.
That actor is the guy who's in the Nobody movies, right?
Yeah, he also played in Malcolm in the Middle. He played in a lot of Daniel Cranston, I think his name is. Yeah, he was great.
But the guy who played Saul, that was...
yeah. That's Bob Odenkirk.
And that's the guy that's in the Nobody movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the Nobody movie.
So did you see Breaking Bad?
I've seen some episodes of Breaking Bad, yeah. I need to watch the whole
keep
thing.
going. And that's also Giancarlo. I forget his last name. Giancarlo's in that. The one that played on Star Wars. He played on Do the Right Thing. He played the guy Gus.
Yeah, I need to check. I need to take
Yeah,
some
man.
time. Yeah. Kion, have you seen Landman? Now we're getting people asking your TV preferences.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Landman either. I hear it's really
I
good.
haven't seen Landman.
People like Landman too. Yeah. Everybody's talking about the sunrise behind you.
Oh yeah, no, we saw that thing develop, right? When I first got out here. Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. Which is better, Space Jam 1 or 2?
Oh, it's absolutely. We already know it's better. It's the one with the greatest basketball player of all time, the real 23. Space Jam 2. Absolutely. Space Jam 1 was so bad that they had to re-release it in theaters 3 times. That's a real thing. That is a real thing. They literally had to put it in theaters 3 times because they didn't make a profit.
Did Space Jam 2 even make it to the theater?
Oh, absolutely. It was the first movie that came out right when the movie theaters opened. So it was the #1 movie when it came out. The #1 movie in America. There we go.
And that lasted about 2 hours.
Yeah. The thing about, but I'll say this, the thing about a Space Jam is like a movie like, I like Coneheads and Willy Wonka. We talk about Willy Wonka. That stuff ages. It gets better as time goes on. And I'm talking about the first Space Jam. So, I just joke about it doing awful when it came. The truth. It actually happened. I'm not lying to you. It came out 3 times in the movie theater. But like I said, it's one of those movies that age like wine. The more time that goes on, the better it gets. Like I watched Coneheads twice last week. I love that movie. I love that movie.
With Dan Aykroyd, yeah.
I cannot get enough of that movie.
Yeah. GP says, Kion, you lost our credibility just now about Space Jam. That's funny. I like, right. Yeah. And one of my all-time favorite movies is Young Frankenstein. And every time I see it, I end up laughing more because
that's one of my favorites too with Gene Wilder. Yeah, and that's one of my mom's favorites too.
So well done.
Yeah, that's classic.
Oh my lord. Anyway, we could talk movies all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll do that one day. The season's almost over. We'll get into one of those.
Yeah, we'll get into your pop culture. Yeah, we need to get you and Dwight Vick, man, is a movie that guy. Now he's a movie guy.
Okay.
He knows his movie. Yeah, so we'll have to do something. That'd be fun. Well, listen, enjoy your day at the beach. How long are you guys down there?
We're here till Friday.
Oh, okay. So you got some time. You got some
time. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy. Remember, your ankle's only about right above your shins. You don't want to get out there and make it any deeper than that. So
yeah, I'm good. I'm about to go out there right now.
So Arizona, UConn?
Absolutely. That's who I got. Thank you, sir. Arizona and UConn. Arizona's cutting down the nets. Tommy Lloyd gets his first national championship, and then nobody cares about that the next day because they're going to worry about if he's going to take that North Carolina job or not.
Well, no, he's gonna show up in Chapel Hill after the celebration wearing powder blue. And hey,
yep, Arizona's going to win. They're going to ask him about North Carolina 20 minutes after at the presser when he's in front of the meeting.
No, I'm very happy here. I love it here. We just won a national title. What are you talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce our next basketball coach. Here's Mr. Tommy Lloyd.
At least Carolina fans will be happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Except the old heads. The old heads are going to want Dean Smith protege.
They will.
It's over, old North Carolina fans. Just move on.
Just stop. Yep. Yeah.
Please.
Nobody's out there. There's nobody out there. All right, brother. Y'all have fun, man. Enjoy.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. Y'all be fun. Kion Brown here on the program. Great stuff. The Bird was giving him hell out there, wasn't he? Did you see the Bird? What's going on there? Somebody typed in chat that the Bird's trying to set him straight on Michael Jordan and LeBron James. That's funny. Damien Sordelett scheduled to join David Teel and Bill Roth here as we motor along. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio. McClellan Chiropractic, Professional Incorporated, sponsor of our text line. Mark and McClellan, our chat room, which is always a highlight of the show. Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. The NRV Super Bowl, 382-5525. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. The attorney Ryan Pry in Radford. BDST Fan Question of the Week. Trust and Estate Planning. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of the program. Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com. Bob Chris, reach out to Bob, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. And Sundown Electric, thanks to the Smith Brothers for sponsoring the program. Good stuff. Lies, Kion, nothing but lies. Yeah. Joining us now on the program where it's never lies. It's Damien Sordelett from the Roanoke Times. What's up, DS?
Morning.
Well, how are you? Everything good with you?
Oh, yeah. Weather's great. So I'm loving it.
It's going to be a little overcast today, though, which is kind of – but, hey, it's warm at least now. I think we're done with the really cold. I've said that before, but I think we might be there now. I hope so.
I'll take it. And, of course, we say this, and then, come around April 18th, there'll be flurries and all that stuff. Yeah.
There'll be snow. Well, you're hanging out yesterday at interviews, right, after practice? How'd that go?
Oh, it went great. We got Ethan Grunkemeyer, Bryce Baker, and, of course, most of us didn't have time to go talk to Isaiah Brown Murray, which was a shame. But, because we finished up with Brent Pry, and then everyone went to talk to Grunk, and I was like, I'll go talk to Bryce Baker. It wouldn't shock me to see him on the field. He is very articulate. He is well-spoken, and I'll tell you this, he seems like he's getting a grasp of the entire offense, not just a certain section of it, because you mentioned this is a progression-based offense where, based on what you see, you're going to go after, certain weaknesses in the defense. And, he seems like he's adjusted well to Virginia Tech. He said the year at North Carolina last year was a blessing, even though he didn't get on the field. He got to learn how you operate at a pro setting with that UNC staff. And he's grateful for, being at Virginia Tech, reuniting with Danny O'Brien, who they both went to the same high school, East Forsyth in Kernersville, North Carolina. And, that relationship has really helped out.
Brent Pry needs to take off his sunglasses when he's doing an interview. He looks like he's trying to hide behind them a little bit there. But that was my observation. But how did he come across yesterday during the
normal. James Franklin won't say anything about anyone. Then you ask Brent Pry about something, and he will open up and tell you exactly what you want to hear. The takeaways is Quentin Reddish is safety 1 right now. Brown Murray is working primarily at nickel. You got Jaquez White, Josh Clark, Cam Chadwick working at corner. I think right now they have Curtis Jones slided out at that Sam linebacker spot where he can come off the edge. And they got Caleb Spencer. He can work, inside linebacker, Sam. In this package, it's not what they ran at Penn State. It's not like 100% Brent Pry's defense. He said about 60-70% is going to be that, but then they're going to add in, things that worked with whether it was Manny Diaz or Tom Allen at Penn State, whether it's certain elements that Chris Marv brought into the defense when he called it in 23 and 24. So, excuse me. Looks like, Pry's picking up right where he left off.
Health been okay so far? I know Grunk he wasn't feeling good, didn't play on Saturday, but how's the health of the team overall so far?
Oh, looking good. I think they're in good shape. They're not really pushing anyone. Marcellus Hawkins is back in Indies instead of just being completely limited. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's just so important. We've talked about it. It's just Everybody get as much work in as you can, but don't get anybody hurt. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. What do we have here?
Troy Hune. Franklin said
Hune
threw 4 touchdowns in the scrimmage on Saturday.
But quarterbacks aren't live, so.
No, but they will be live in the next scrimmage.
Will they?
Yeah. Everyone but Grunk. He wants to. Franklin said this yesterday. He wants to see what they do, how they react to live bullets coming at them. And we got to see a scrimmage in the spring 2 years ago. And the quarterbacks were live. And Pop Watson got rocked because someone didn't pick up the blind side. Oh, boy. Legit hit. So that's something you kind of want to avoid, but it's good. You kind of need a sense where everything's coming from.
Burnup said yesterday that happened just in a random play on defense. Somebody got into I don't know, it may have been a defensive player and took out his legs, and they said Franklin stopped practice and was just furious and sent the guy off the field. Because you don't want to do that with your own teammates. You got to be smart out there, right? A little self-awareness about what's going on. So that
might have been the practice that we got to see all the way through and practice too.
So you saw it,
yeah. It was I think it was Gabe Williams taking out Bill Davis's legs. I mean, it was a great play behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, he got back there fast. But, I mean, took him out. And Franklin didn't eject him. It wasn't like the Brent Pry grab like a Johnny Dixon or Keyshawn Burgos by the face mask and say, get out of here. It was, hey, we don't do that. Go to the sideline. Now, I could see Brent Pry over there like, hey, I like that. Brent Pry's like, do that to opposing players, not to your teammates.
But it's kind of hard, right? Coaches can't really have it both ways. You want to go live, but guys have instincts and they want to play the game. I don't necessarily blame the players. They're not trying to hurt somebody. But, how do you not go make a play when that's your instinct, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
I'd rather than make the play and get in trouble in practice, and then that way they know I need to do that during the game.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have the offensive-minded coach who's going to be like, you can't do that. And then your defensive coordinator is going to be like, keep doing that. I like the way you got into the backfield there. I like the ability to shed a blocker and be able to make the play down, to get the play down. So, I would keep doing that and just in the defensive meeting room say, that is what I want to see when you're on the field.
Well, everybody seems to be building up Troy Hune, very excited about him. But the reality is Grunkmeyer's got 3 more years. Troy Hune is not going to sit here in Blacksburg and wait for 3 years. So is this a situation where he's going to have 1 year in the program to kind of get a little bit of a reputation, develop a year in college, and somebody else is going to benefit from all that seasoning? Because there's no way both those guys are staying on the roster for 3 years. Sorry, Tech fan, that's not going to happen.
Well, also, I talked about Bryce Baker earlier. He's a redshirt freshman, so he's got 4 years of eligibility
So
left.
something's going to have to give in terms of all 3 of those quarterbacks, and Grunk's the one they paid a lot of money to. So
right. It seems like the relationships that they have with Franklin, Howell, O'Brien might be what keeps them around and goes back to the old days where you wait your turn, you develop, and then you might only get 1 year. You might only get 1 year to start, but then you take advantage of that. That could be what we're seeing here because, again, I got to talk to Bryce Baker pretty extensively before the group migrated to him yesterday. And he mentioned he didn't want to make the same mistake again. And the first mistake was going to UNC, I guess, chasing the money. I mean, he was the first commit under Belichick. And, that comes with some fanfare. He got introduced to the Dean Dome and all that stuff. I would say he's got a relationship with these guys, and I think they're talking about a relationship business. And Franklin, those guys, they'll try to find a way to take care of you um, from a money side. If you want to stay committed and work through the process, I think that's what they're building toward at Virginia Tech. The old school, you know, we're not in that mindset anymore, but that's what they want to do. And
what they want to do, but guys, it's going to come down to money. I'm sorry. Yeah. Nobody's going to sit there and turn down 7-figure offers just because, I really like my offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, if that happens. Now, he's got to continue to develop, but we don't know what he can do. He had one good scrimmage where the quarterbacks aren't live. So everybody's, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But I think Hume has passed Ryan on the depth chart to QB3. So now you have your 3 deep at quarterback, which is Grunkemeyer and Baker, however that shakes out. That would be the 2 quarterbacks you can put on there and win with. And you have your developmental guys, your 3rd, which is Troy Hume. And Grunkemeyer wasn't really highly recruited coming out of high school. But I'll say this, Baker was, and so was Hume. So, again, Prometheus is right. This is a good problem to have for Virginia Tech, to have.
For this year, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I could say potentially next year. And Franklin brought up A.J. Brain had 2 touchdown passes in the Wildcat package in yesterday's practice. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of that's a busy quarterback room, and there's only one guy who can play that position.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see. Gerdak went in the portal. Yep. For Tech on men's basketball. That's 3 now. Are you expecting? Yep. You have any updates on Hammond? Have you heard anything around him and Hansberry? What's going on there?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, Hammond, Gerdak, and Hansberry, I thought were like the big 3 that you needed to keep. And heck, I mean, Mike Young offered Christian Gerdak a scholarship as a 9th grader. First time Mike Young's ever done that. So that means it's coming down to money. Like, Virginia Tech just doesn't have money. David Cunningham mentioned to me this yesterday in the media room, like Virginia Tech's budget for rev share and NIL last year for men's basketball was around $5 million. And rev share, you get 15% of the 20.5, and I think that was around like 3.1 million, which means you have $2 million for NIL. That's not going to cut it.
You think they don't have money, or they're just not giving the money that they should be giving them? It sounds like it's probably that at this point. Wow.
It's the latter, because you got to divert a lot to football. And I would equate like a $2 million NIL budget at the Power 4 level to what Mike Jones had to work with at UNC Greensboro.
Yeah, right.
Because
right.
Your budget for player compensation is half of UVA, and it's reported UVA is going to go up to $15 million with rev share and NIL for this upcoming season. And if Virginia Tech stays at $5 million, we saw what happens to your roster when you don't have NIL 2 years ago. And we kind of see what happens this year.
Do you think they have already verbally committed to get maybe Hammond back, and they're spending so much money they don't feel like they have it anywhere else? You think these other players already know the deal? I wonder it. I don't know that when we hear about those 2 guys, that's going to tell me a lot. What you're saying about the budget in the future,
right? Yeah, I mean, Gerdak seems like a money thing. Hansberry and Chester Frazier have been linked together for a long time, so I could see Hansberry sticking around if Frazier's there, and that's a good piece. He's a veteran piece inside.
Do you think Chester Frazier's in line to get a job anywhere? There's a lot of jobs already open. College basketball.
Yeah, I mean, if he's ready to take a head coaching job somewhere, sure. But he's probably being compensated pretty well as an assistant for Mike Young, and he's got familiarity in Blacksburg. So, again, until Virginia Tech comes out and like has an official statement about Mike Young's future.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this last few weeks.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to give him an extension, like going into his final year, but at least you need to come out and say Mike Young's back.
They haven't done that, have they? You're right.
No, I mean
publicly they haven't done it.
I mean, Witt did to an extent with Mark Berman down at the ACC tournament, women's tournament. But it was in passing, saying, you know, he's our guy. But nothing from hey, Mike Young's back.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you go business as usual, then you know he's back. But at the same time, I don't know if you want the lingering questions of, you know, he's got only a year left on his contract. You know what the future is, and hopefully we should get some clarification when we sit down with Witt here soon. So, but yeah, I agree with Wayne. Frazier is important from a recruiting standpoint, from what you do in game. You know, you got to make sure you keep him because you're going to need some recruiting in the portal because you don't have any high school kids who have signed. Like right now, your high school recruiting class is nothing, which not great.
Yeah, that's bizarre, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and if the money, let's say these guys are already leaving because they see the handwriting on the wall, what can they possibly have to go out and try to get guys out of the portal that's going to be able to elevate the program? It feels like they're putting themselves in this situation over in Blacksburg a little bit with men's basketball.
Well, if that's the case, you're going to have to get like the Isaiah Pashas from, you know, the CAAs.
Yeah.
And we saw that didn't work out great. You're going to need to find some players who have high major experience that, you know, for a starting spot might be willing to take a little extra or a little less, a little less to come and play because it's like, hey, you got a starting role here and you're in the ACC, and the ACC is still a good league despite not having any teams in the Final Four this year. So, it's going to be, I mean, not going to the NIT, and I got some clarity on that. They weren't going to have a very competitive roster because you're going to have the guys going into the portal that weren't going to play. Hansberry wouldn't have played. So you would have had, like, Lawal's going to be focused on his pro aspirations. So you would have had, like, Hammond, Bedford, Shoot, and then who else? I mean, you probably been like, all right, Sincere Jones, you need to get healthy. Like, that was going to be a problem. That's why they opted out of the NIT. They just weren't going to have any bodies. So, yeah. We'll see if Dorn sticks around. I guess now with Gerdak out, you can say, well, Tony Dorn, you're up.
Next man up. Come on.
And honestly, I thought Dorn was going to be the big man that went into the portal and not Gerdak. So that was a bit surprising. David Cunningham and I both had that look of, wow, there's one reason why Gerdak would leave a place where he has a solid relationship with the coaching staff, and that's probably because some schools came in and said, we'll give you more money.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's what the portal, over 800 players are already in it, and it doesn't even open until next week. That's what Jeff Goodman wrote. Yeah.
It opens on the 7th, and it's open for 15 days. So I think the whole point is you announce you're entering now, so that way, I don't know if you can go ahead and tamper, but at least people can start doing some evaluations and say, all right, well, we can give you this.
No question. I mean, it's going on in our league, and coaches are telling me their guys are getting contacted during the season weekly. It's not, you might play a game on a Wednesday, Thursday morning. They're answering calls and texts from representatives of the school. It's this whole tampering thing's a joke, just like everything else they try to prevent. You know, it's not realism to think that you can get there and, what, you shouldn't be tampering. Guys, come on. Talk to the coaches in the Big South. They'll tell you cover Liberty. That's just the way it is. That's just.
They'll tamper. I mean, heck, Liberty's leading scorer from this past season, Brett Decker, is in the transfer portal, and Randolph Childress is on the call for their NIT game. He's like, I wonder what his options are going to be in the portal. Who's going to reach out to him? And I'm like, you just said that during a game.
Did you say that, or did you think that? Yeah.
And then he goes into the portal. But yeah, I mean, I know Radford's got to replace some pieces, but Liberty's got to replace 100% of its scoring, 100% of its starters, and yeah.
No, it's going to be Radford's going to have a whole new team. I mean, it's just the way. There might be a couple holdovers, but that's the way it's going to be throughout our league.
Yeah.
Every roster is going to change. And I agree with Prometheus. It is football first in Blacksburg, but you're going to hear the people continue to complain about men's basketball. There seems to kind of be like a little bit of witch hunt going on with fans. The whole NIT thing, I've never seen anything like it in my life, where so many fans, DS, got so upset over not taking an NIT bid. They looked at it as a surrender flag. Well, you're giving us viable reasons why they may have done that. But, man, I've never seen so many people circle against the coach for not playing in what is a meaningless tournament.
Yeah, and Mike Young probably wanted to play in it because he knew this would be valuable experience for his younger players. But if you don't have the roster, I mean, you might have been able to go out there with 5 or 6 players. Like, are you going to be competitive? Like, Virginia Tech could have been at home, and it might have been one and done. And the last thing you want to do is hear the Boo Birds as you're leaving Castle for the last time.
Something changed there. We have a gentleman who's attached to Virginia Tech's athletic department whose son plays baseball at Radford. And he said they were told that, get ready, we're going to get the table crew back for the first NIT game. The next day, Tech said they're not playing. So something seemed to have shifted pretty quickly there. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's something along the lines of it's a player vote or something along those lines. But if Hansberry's like, because the NIT starts sooner than the NCAA tournament, so say if you're playing on a Tuesday or Wednesday instead of the Thursday and you don't have the time to get ready, he's not in there. And then with the NIT, and this is where I think, if the NCAA is running it, it needs to find a way to get better TV deals so there's more incentive to play if there's a bigger payout. Because I know the college basketball, the NIL like pay for play tournament that's run in Vegas that Fox does with that's one of those where it's like, oh yeah, we'll stick around and play because they're going to pay us to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason. Yep, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And Prometheus, to answer your question, yeah, I could see players coming back if they don't get.
It's up to the coach. Yeah, that can. Yeah, that's up to the coach if they want to bring them back in. Correct. 100%.
Right. And I would say in Virginia Tech situation, if you have guys who are familiar with what you're running and they want to come back, like a Christian Gerdak, you're like, yeah, come on back.
Depending on the situation, that's exactly right. Depending on the situation and the conversations that happened.
Yeah.
Because in our league, at our level, coaches aren't going to sit there and be bitter toward anybody if they want to go and try. And, oh, coach, I didn't work. Can I? Sure. We'll be able to make this work. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. It does seem like maybe the attention, and rightfully so, like Prometheus is exactly right. I mean, it all has to be focused on getting football back to some level of credibility because it hasn't been for too long, and they can't do that in Blacksburg. That football program is what rules everything, and I get it, but there's going to be casualties along the way, and it feels like men's basketball is just the living embodiment of that right now. So.
And the problem with that is because I'm thinking of it from the ACC initiative, the success initiative standpoint. Football didn't go to a bowl game. Basketball isn't in the NCAA tournament to get the units or whatnot. So Virginia Tech, from a success initiative standpoint, will only get something from women's basketball going to its NCAA tournament. They're not making much from the Success Initiative. And with football struggles, outside of the South Carolina game and probably outside of the Miami game, like Tech's viewership numbers weren't great. I mean,
No.
I'm sure basketball, the numbers weren't great either.
No.
Maybe outside of hosting Duke and Castle.
Yeah, maybe a UVA game, maybe a UVA, maybe.
So we see like Tech's, what Tech's going to reap this year from the restructured TV deal, which is based on your viewership numbers and Success Initiative. Tech's not going to be bringing in a lot of money compared to Miami, compared to probably Virginia.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you're going to have, like, now it's going to, like, losing is costing Virginia Tech money right now. And so, again, they're banking on James Franklin getting the football program turnaround, which will then bring in, hopefully start raising how much they get from the ACC. And then, therefore, you can start adding to it. I'm with Wayne. You need to upgrade Castle Coliseum, if not build a new facility so that way you can get some premium seating in there, which will bring in more money. Because what Babcock has told us this in our sit downs, that Castle Coliseum, you don't really have any options for premium seating in order to bring in certain clientele. And that's how I'm going to call it. You need to have the ability to have suites, have luxury seats on the baseline. You need to have these amenities that can draw in your higher paying donors and supporters who will be willing to pay a good chunk of money for season tickets that can bring in some money, and you don't have that right now.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then like David Cunningham went to Austin for the NCAA Women's Tournament, and Moody Coliseum was built in 2020, 2021, has a ton of amenities. And like the upper section is like suites, like a whole bunch of suites where you can wine and dine, clientele. You can have your business trips there. You can do all this. I'm sure Virginia Tech had some representative from the athletic department there and probably took a tour of Moody and got to see a lot of the things. And now you got to get these ideas of what you can do to elevate Castle Coliseum or a new arena. So that needs to be addressed. And I know Castle Coliseum upgrades and renovations are part of the Invest to Win strategy. So there's a lot that needs to be done. So,
well, we'll see. We'll see if they decide to commit to that and what's going to happen with that roster, and we'll see what develops. No, they're going to be taking Easter weekend off. I know Coach Franklin, I think that's a good touch. So let the guys get away that can get away to family. I think that's very cool of him. But they're going to have their scrimmage, at the end of the week on Friday, and then guys get to go away for a couple of days.
I don't know if it's a scrimmage on Friday. Let me double check.
Is that what it is? I thought that's what Burnip said. I may be wrong. It could have just been a practice, but
yeah, they have I don't know if it's a scrimmage or a practice on Friday.
Okay.
But then the following week, it goes back to the normal schedule, Tuesday, Thursday. Then I'm assuming Saturday would be a scrimmage. And then the week of the spring game, they have practices Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the spring game. Because I think that's the week Franklin wants to get them acclimated to what a game week is like in Blacksburg. So that's why you have the extra practices leading up into the spring game. And hopefully you don't get any injuries during that week, and then you have to change the format from an actual competitive game to we're going to do offense versus defense because we're going to help the bodies.
I know, exactly. Hey, when's your quarterback piece coming out? That's kind of cool. People are going to be excited
quarterback
about
pieces. I'm going to do something on
Baker. All right.
Baker in the Friday paper, Grunkemeyer in the Saturday paper, and then Sunday's looking at the entire quarterback battle and how Franklin said he doesn't want to have a pecking order at the end of spring. He wants to have the competition go into camp because, as he put it, if you end up being like the second or third or fourth guy, at some point you're going to check out for a little bit because you're like, man, I didn't get the job. And then it's going to take you time to get kind of back into the, all right, I need to start preparing like a starter again, even though I'm not the starter, and doing what's best for the team. So he wants to keep the players, not just a quarterback, but every position across the board, wants to keep them engaged as long as possible. So that way they feel like they have a chance to break into the starting lineup, deep into camp. So, we'll be looking at that. And, and Wayne's right. I mean, from what I've seen in practice, the quarterback room is in much better shape than it was last year with Drones, Watson, and Rangel.
Kyron Drones, biggest bust at that position in a long time. Let's just say it the way it is. Everybody stop just trying to act like he was a bust. He was a massive, massive bust.
I will say this. At Pro Day last Friday, not a lot of scouts stuck around to watch Drones throw.
No.
And like Andy and I were kind of looking around and we're like, this isn't good.
No.
We're like everyone who was there to watch. I mean, a lot of like supporters for the other players have probably dipped out, but we're trying to count the scouts and we're like, oh, there's not that many. And there wasn't a lot of people watching. I mean, you had Allie Jennings. They brought in Drayshawn Kendrick from Norfolk State to help catch passes.
Yeah.
They had to use Harrison St. Germain and Jarikus Harrison to help with that. And they also brought in one of Cam Ward's favorite receivers from his time at Incarnate Word in Washington State to run routes. So,
yeah.
But Drone said all the scouts have talked to him just about being a quarterback, and he hasn't talked about a position change. And I would say, if he gets into the league and then they say, in order to stay on this roster, you need to look at tight end, he'll do that. Logan Thomas did it. And Logan Thomas was like, if I want to make money, I'm going to change positions. So that's what Jones got to do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, brother. Well, have a good Easter weekend, and appreciate you as always, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in a week.
All right, brother. Take care. There you go. That's Damien Sordelett. Damien's the best. Good stuff. Nobody stuck around to watch. Drones. That's the guy Brent Pry put his whole program on. Yay! Because he made 2 starts at Baylor, so let's give him the most at that time most money that we had, and bank the whole thing on a guy that had never shown he could do it. But to my point from earlier, what Damien just said, David Teel going to join us, then Bill Roth, by the way. God, that's a good show, isn't it? Kion and Damien and David and Bill. Please subscribe, like, and share. So Franklin's already thinking in his head, all right, I got to keep these quarterbacks engaged. That's my point. That's just going from spring until August. If you're the third guy, if you're Hune, if you're Baker, whatever it might be, you got to try to keep them engaged. It's not going to be human nature at that position to stay engaged with how the environment around college athletics is right now. Again, this is not me blaming the kid at all. So don't want anybody to think I'm blaming the kid, but put yourself in that situation. If Hune develops, and it sounds like he's gotten off to a good start. Now, I'm not going to be all running around celebrating like a lot of other people. Oh, he threw 4 touchdowns in a scrimmage where the quarterbacks can't be touched and you can't enter their area. I don't care about that, but he's obviously looked the part. He obviously can make the throws. He looks good. He's got a good mindset. A guy like that, you think if we're picking up on it, don't you think every other program that needs a young quarterback that may have missed, don't you think they're going to be, it's unrealistic to think just because, oh, this is what Franklin wants, or, oh, this is their Virginia Tech and they have a relationship, that all three of those guys are just going to willingly sit for 2 or 3 years until their chance comes in this environment. It's not a Virginia Tech thing. It's just a reality thing. We can't even keep basketball rosters intact for 1 year. So at that position, if you're a quarterback and you're a guy like you and you've always started, it's tough to all of a sudden go to the next level and know you're not going to play. At that position, it's not just money, it's also playing time. Quarterbacks don't want to sit. There's only so much better you can get as a quarterback if you're just taking a few reps. I saw, who was it? There was a backup in the NFL the other day was talking about, it's great when you get in there, but even as the backup quarterback in the NFL, you only get so many reps each week, and it really sets you back. That's why it's so devastating when NFL teams lose their quarterback, because they're getting all the reps. He goes, you can't really take things to the next level. And I think it's even more so when you're the second or third team in college. You still want your number one quarterback to get the reps, because that's the guy who's going to lead you on Saturdays. They will stay because of the black jerseys, Rick. Did you notice the backdrop at Media Day? What color was it? Black. I've still yet to see Franklin wear any maroon. Get ready, it's coming. And everybody's going to see the first graphic they put up there. Oh, no, that's straight fire. Look at that black uniform. So next Tuesday, Radford, we host Tech softball. They're coming over. They always do the same thing as baseball. They do a home game at each, and it should be. That's the way it should be. I'll let you know what they're wearing next Tuesday. We had a big crowd there last night. Big crowd there last night for the baseball game. It was just didn't feel like a baseball. It was weird. 16 pitchers, 7 hit batsmen, 13 called strike threes between the two teams. Guys just didn't want to swing the bat. You know, there's a reason you take that thing. What's that thing called? The thing that you hold when you go to the plate? Oh, it's called a bat. There's a reason you have that. Tech goes to Miami, and Radford hosts Upstate next. Massive crowd, though. Got to see Morris last night. It's great to see him. He came out and hung out. No, I didn't do it. I did not. Because I knew we'd have a pretty big audience. You know, a lot of Tech fans were chiming in. I mean, were watching, joining us. And so, yeah, I didn't do my Yoda. Thought about it, but I did not. Yeah, 2 teams that were 500. That's right. Tech now 1 over, Radford now 1 under after last night. Yep. But we did have a really big crowd. It was a fun atmosphere. Just a 3-hour and 45-minute baseball game, though, on a Tuesday night. Not ideal. It's always ideal when this gentleman joins us. He's David Teel. David, how are you, Mr. Hall of Famer? Good morning.
A 3-hour, 45-minute baseball game is less than ideal on any night, let alone Tuesday.
Oh, David, it was awful. It was awful. 16 pitchers. It was a midweek. You know what I'm talking about. Woo! Yeah. Oh. Final Four is here. I just wanted to get your thoughts going back to the Duke collapse and then the in play. I mean, you've watched a lot of this more than anybody. You've seen all these games. What do you think, man? I was shocked. That was a shocking finish to me.
Yeah, shocking and so sudden the way it happened. You know, there's no timeout, but between the made free throw and then the inbounds pass and then the Caden Boozer turnover there near midcourt and the Braylon Mullins shot. And, you know, a lot of buzzer beaters break ties. and prevent overtime or force overtime. This one flipped it. And that's, again, what makes it so jarring. I mean, Duke's going to the Final Four until it's not.
Right.
And
yeah.
UConn led twice. It led 2-0, and it led 73-72. Quite reminiscent of Duke's loss to North Carolina, where the Tar Heels did not lead until 0.4 seconds remained in the game.
And as you put out on X, I mean, Carolina and Duke both lost 19-point leads. It cost one coach's job. John Shire won't lose his job, obviously, but he's got people were posting some of his failures in the postseason. But it's just one of those things that happens. It's human nature. You think everybody says he needed to do this. I've said the same thing, but a lot of times you're just not thinking in that moment, right? It happens all the time.
Well, look, John Shire is in good company among coaches who have squandered big NCAA tournament leads late in the bracket. Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, Tony Bennett, Gary Williams, Bill. We can go down the line.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's now happened to Shire twice in as many seasons. And he's got to own it, and he will own it. And look, John Shire is exceptional at his craft. He has assembled rosters and managed them just exceptionally well. And he's going to win a national championship. It's just a matter of time. He may win multiple titles. When you're at Duke and you have those resources and access to the best talent, the odds are in your favor. But he's also quite good at his job. I mean, the guy just won 2 ACC tournaments in consecutive seasons, one time without Cooper Flagg, and then the other one without 2 starters.
Right.
You don't do that unless you know what you're doing on the bench.
Yeah, and a lot of those things that are said or written are emotional things that happen after the fact, right? They don't take into account all the obvious things, right? But But as you look ahead, what do you like? How do you like this breakdown? UConn got the momentum now. Illinois, the surprise visitor into the Final Four. And then on the other side, it's 2 monsters going to go head-to-head. Godzilla versus Megalon over there with Michigan and Arizona.
Yeah, those are 2 wagons right now, Rick. And Arizona's the only conference tournament champion in the Final Four. Wildcats have won 13 in a row. But yet I think you can argue Michigan has been the most dominant team in this tournament. In fact, its demolition of Tennessee on, what was that? Was that Sunday or Saturday? I forget.
Yeah.
Was the most lopsided regional final since Michigan just boat raced Virginia in 1989. En route to the national title. This team, wow, Yaxel Lindenberg is so much fun to watch. And I know Carolina fans love to trash Elliot Cadeau, but he's been good at the point for the Wolverines. He hasn't been great, but he's been good, and they've got so many pieces around him. And Dusty May is obviously at the top of his game. I mean, the guy took Florida Atlantic to the Final Four, for heaven's sake. And you think Carolina fans are going to be watching Saturday night? Because is their next coach Tommy Lloyd or Dusty May? I don't know, or is it Billy Donovan? I think it's one of those 3.
It feels like it. And the way Tommy Lloyd came across yesterday, and we've seen it how many times, right? The way they answer this question, that – It's I was going to ask you directly about the Carolina thing. It kind of feels like you're not hearing a lot, which makes me think you're exactly right. One of those 2 guys, I think, is going to be named the head coach. It just feels like that.
It does. And Ward Manuel, the Michigan AD, has kind of fueled some of the speculation and not shot it down, and talked about how he really wants to keep him and keep Dusty May, that is. And it'll be, I think, soon after the Final Four, and it's got to be soon after the Final Four since the portal opens Tuesday.
I mean, but it's North freaking Carolina. I mean, I know you're in a great job and you might win a national title, but this is North Carolina, arguably the bluest of all the blue bloods ever. Come on. I mean, it just seems
it is, Rick, but it has its own degrees, high degrees of dysfunction, and not the least of which is because of who's running the football operation.
Exactly, 100%.
And all the resources that are being poured into that. And then you've got an athletic director transition going on from Bubba Cunningham to Steve Newmark, and the whole future of the basketball arena still hanging out there. They've put that on delay until they get their new coach and get him properly researched. But Carolina is the bluest of the blue, literally and figuratively. But it's somewhat diminished because of the dysfunction.
Well, finally, let me ask you about the other side. Who you like? You like UConn, or can Illinois, keep this thing going?
Dan Hurley has never lost in the Sweet 16 or beyond. That's remarkable. He's 10-0.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to bet against UConn in that particular matchup. Now, these two teams met back on Thanksgiving Friday, and I think it was either Friday or Saturday of Thanksgiving week. And UConn won it at the Garden, but that was before Keaton Wagler became Keaton Wagler. He was just some freshman nobody had ever heard of, literally, because he was like the number 300 prospect in the country out of Shawnee, Kansas. And now he's a lottery pick. It's one of the most remarkable emergences and improbable ones that we've ever seen. I still like UConn. I like Michigan. And then I like Michigan to give the Big Ten its first championship in 26 years, which is a mind-bending
yes,
famine for such a storied and wealthy conference.
That's one of those. I saw the graphic twice over the last couple of days, and I had to go back and check. That's not right. Yeah. Right. It's weird. Was Izzo the last one?
Yeah. Izzo in 2000.
Wow. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, and can't wait to get your reaction. I know you got a jet, so we appreciate you hopping on, man, as always. Want to get your take on that. And this Carolina thing, I think, is going to bust open pretty quickly after the weekend. Feels like it anyway. So
yeah, I would virtually guarantee it.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Take care of yourself. Have a great rest of the week.
All right, Rick. You too, man.
Thanks, David. Thanks, man. There you go, David Teel. Appreciate that. Thanks for jumping on. I know he had to jump out. So, all right. So people on the professional door text line. Wow, Rick, great pool. Godzilla versus Megalon. Yeah, Wayne. That was one of the first Godzilla movies I remember seeing. I saw the old, growing up, the old movies from Japan. But Godzilla versus Megalon, now that was the real deal. That was his name, right? Megalon. You had Mothra. Big Godzilla guy. It's interesting. I saw that graphic, and I did exactly what I told David. When I saw that, somebody posted that 26 years since the Big Ten's won a college basketball championship. That's not right. Somebody snuck in there and won, right? Michigan or Izzo's won more than that. Wisconsin, they did that. Indiana had to have won one. No. So he likes Michigan over UConn. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be that should be a fun game, that Michigan-Arizona game. And 10-0 for Dan Hurley. Yeah. That's pretty good. After the Final Four, by the way, I'm pretty close with Roger Ayers. I'm going to try to get Roger on here and talk about lots of things with college basketball and officiating. For my money, he's the best college basketball official out there. and I've known him a long time, and he's working the Final Four. You see Roger everywhere. He's the guy. Roger's paid his dues, man, and that's why he's elevated to the point to where he's the one official I think that coaches know they can just talk to and trust. And that whole thing with Hurley got, in my opinion, it may have looked bad, but I don't think what was going on there. I don't think what was going on there was what it was perceived to be. We'll see. Yeah, I'll disagree with that, Prometheus. I mean, UCLA basketball has won 11 national titles. I mean, you're right. They haven't won one. And I mean, that's a long time to go 30 years. They haven't won one, but they've been in two Final Fours, 3 Final Fours since then. I mean, if you're basing it on championships, then Keon's right about UConn. And I still don't think UConn is a traditional blue blood. Kentucky. I mean, I don't know when it was. When was Kentucky's last title? I'd have to look all that up. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head when Kentucky won it. Kansas got one under Self. Carolina, Roy got one. And Duke's last title was, I don't know what year that was, with Krzyzewski. Because then you're putting in new blue bloods. Maybe it's a term that doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe we should just get rid of that term. But I think getting to Final Fours, getting to Final Fours are probably is still, because not only one team can win the national title is what I'm saying. So maybe getting to Final Fours is the criteria you need to use. But yeah. But I hope they're good games. I hope we get good games. We'll see. I know the women's tournament's been a bust again. The hard truth about the women's tournament is it's not very entertaining. You get to the Final Four, and once again, you've got all 4 number ones. That wasn't hard to predict. The games, the thing that's really striking about the women's side is like even the regional final games weren't competitive. I think the closest one was the Duke UCLA game, and that was a 13-point. I mean, UConn's steamrolling everybody. So I think it'll be UConn, and I think it'll be Texas in the women's title game. But and you tell me, y'all, it just feels like to me, since Caitlin Clark left women's college basketball, it has just flatlined in national interest. What are your thoughts? Is that off the mark? I don't hear any hype surrounding this women's Final Four. What do you think? What do you think? And I wonder, you've got 4 number ones. Are we going to see? Are there going to be any blowouts in the final, the semifinals? But it all seems to have flatlined. Yeah, the Tech Final Four run when everybody still loved Kitty Brooks. Oh, Kitty Brooks hung the moon. Oops. But the women's tournament is just, there's not much there for enjoyment in terms of close games and competitive games. Big Al says ramifications of how Clark has been treated in the WNBA. Sure. Absolutely. And what that league is developed. Oh, my Lord. Oh. WNBA. Yikes. Hey, but they all got new contracts, even though they're $40 million in debt every year. But it felt like there had been a breakthrough with Clark. And I've never seen a once-in-a-lifetime superstar in a sport get so unanimously have her legs cut out from under as many people plotted to do that in and around women's basketball. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me. Because there's nobody else that has that, especially in that league. But it is just, it's kind of flatlined from a national interest perspective. It just has. And it's not competitive. The regionals aren't competitive. Nothing about any of those regionals, those 4 teams came through, were competitive. So, and that adds to it. And that adds to it. You not only mismanaged Clark, Wayne, but almost went out intentionally against her. Intentionally against her. I mean, players were trying to physically hurt her, and the league did nothing. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Is it racially motivated? A lot of people think so. Was it jealousy? A lot of people think so. Whatever it was, her status is no longer anything what it was, and she's kind of retreated a little bit. And they had a chance, man. They had a chance. That was their one window, because you're not going to find a star like that again. It's just not. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. But they had their reasons, and now they're going to reap, I guess they call it benefits because of their new deal. But we'll see how that league handles. Everybody talks about how their new broadcast and media rights deals are going to help them. We'll see. We'll see. But the women's Final Four is all right there. All number 1 seed yet again. That's right. It is April Fool's Day. How about that? April Fool's Day 2026. And we are here. But we made it. We made it through. We made it through. Well, it's no April Fools. Joining us now on the program, he is the voice, the quintessential voice of Virginia Tech football, Bill Roth. What is up, William? It's been too long, my friend.
It has been too long. It has been. Good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. How's everything?
Good, man. How are you? How are you been? Everything good?
I'm great. We're 17 days away from the Hokies spring football game, and I'm excited about that. Fingers crossed for good weather. We're coming down to the final few weeks of the academic semester. You know, I've got all these students in our SMA, our sports media analytics program. Excited about yesterday. By the way, I want to thank you and the folks at Radford for helping a couple of our students yesterday call the game. Yeah. You know, when you're in college and you have a chance to travel on the road, regardless of where it is, and do a road game, you recall how that was. It's always exciting. And so I'm glad they had that opportunity yesterday. So thanks to all the people over at RU.
Yeah, of course. Got to talk with both of those gentlemen. They were great. And they were having a blast. So that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. So, well, it's also all about spring football, man. Here we are. We're encapsulated in it. Fans are going nuts. At James Franklin's era, it's underway. Some of your initial thoughts, I know when he got here, you and Mike had a great sit down with him. And what were some of your impressions when you met him for the first time like that?
Well, after watching him and his staff for a few months, it's pretty clear they know what they're doing. Not only are they really good coaches, and his staff's really remarkable. It's enlarged. We've got more coaches and analysts than we've ever had, but they know what they're doing. And I think the other thing that Coach Franklin brings after watching him for a few months is the perspective. He gets it. He knows how it works. Not every day is smooth. Not every day is winning. And in fact, most days there's winning and not winning, right? And it's somewhat of a microcosm of life, right? But I think he's been through it. He's a great leader for what we need right now. He's done this at Vandy and at Penn State, where he's had to change things, and he usually gets things done quickly. And in the portal era that we've got, you can see our roster is so much different than it was the last time that we took the field up in Charlottesville. Not even close. And I'm excited about not only the new players. We had a bunch of mid-year enrollees. We had a bunch of transfers, as everyone knows. But, man, the returning players are really invigorated. You know, Kamari Copeland of 26 isn't the same guy as 25, or Aiden Green. Yesterday in the press conference, Coach Pry was talking about Asen Stevens. There's another guy that's really made a big step forward. And I think that there's a rejuvenation among our returning players as well. So it is a much different team than the one we saw down the stretch in 25. And so for me, it's really exciting.
Yeah, the depth is going to be pretty obvious, I think, and just want to keep them healthy. We always talk about this time of year, right? Get your work done, but let's don't have any announcements of anybody having any kind of problems coming out of this. But it's looking good so far. Quarterbacks are spinning it, and it looks like there's a lot of depth there for the first time in a while. So,
yeah, that room looks a lot better. I think that, obviously Ethan Runkelmeyer started a bunch of games at the end last year at Penn State. And I've seen Baker's high school tape. You know, he never played in a game in Chapel Hill, but he's from, right outside of Winston-Salem down there. And his high school tape's great. And then, he's a real interesting guy. And I encourage everyone to watch. Liz Kitley has her podcast going, and she had him on. And, he's creative. He's intelligent. He's articulate. He's got his own line of swag going. That's really interesting. And then, Troy Huhn came in early, a California player who had committed to Penn State. And, he is a really exciting prospect too. So it has been a while since the Hokies had in fact, someone sent me an email on this. It has been a while since the Hokies had a quarterback that they recruited out of high school as a quarterback and then became our starting quarterback. I mean, I think it was Logan Thomas, but
wow.
Even everybody we've had seemingly has been a transfer. Now that's not atypical, right? If you look around the country, lots of teams are doing that. Like even last year, right? Miami and Indiana, the two teams that played for the championship were quarterbacks. And I was joking, I guess it was Coach Montgomery last year a little bit about it, and Coach Pry, that, it seems like Notre Dame just takes Wake Forest's quarterback
every year.
Well, if Notre Dame can't recruit and develop QBs, what's the deal? And even, it was the week that we played Louisville, and Brom's a great QB guy, and he has USC's quarterback at Louisville. So I don't think it's a concern that you're. But anyway, getting back to Huhn, that kid has an arm, man. And we're going to have a live scrimmage Friday. I don't know if they're going to make the QBs live this week, but we'll see how he does when someone's coming to get him.
Yeah, it'll change a little bit, no doubt about it. How excited are you to be able to call the tight ends are going to be a prominent part of this offense? I used to love that so much about watching Penn State, because there was always one or two tight ends. You go, wow, how do they do that? Looks like that's going to be brought to Blacksburg now as well.
So I think for sure, Coach Howe was the tight ends. Our new offensive coordinator was the tight ends coach at Penn State. And Mike Burnup and I had him on level 7, and we talked a little bit about that. Like, why is Penn State so good at developing and using tight ends? And they bring kids in, and they're really good at up there, and then they win games with them, and then they go to the NFL. And everyone says that was LBU, linebacker U, but candidly, I think it's tight end U.
Tight end U, yeah.
In a lot of ways. So we'll see what the Hokies offense looks like. I know that they want to take more deep shots and spread the field a little bit more, which was a real Achilles heel for us last year. You know how many catches of over 40 yards Virginia Tech's receivers had last year in a dozen games for the season? Not average per game, for the season.
10?
3. So that's
Wow.
that's not taking shot. And there's a lot that goes into that, right? That's not just the QB or the receiver or the line or the play calling. There's a lot that goes into that. But I think in the portal we've gotten better with some players. But anyway, I think Ty's visiting with him and listening to his pressers. Being able to stretch the field is huge, but that doesn't mean you can't have a tight end heavy offense. And so it wouldn't surprise me once we get midway through and you and I are visiting again in October that we've got some big play capabilities, but our tight ends have a lot of catches too. But Penn State, you're right, man. They use them in blocking. When Penn State went to the college football playoff, if you recall from a couple of years ago, that clinching win over Minnesota, they faked a punt and they used their tight end to make the key play, and that guy's on our team now. So I think it's exciting for all of us to see so many good players.
Yeah, it is. It is. I want to ask you about the O-line. You and I talk about it a lot. I know they've got a lot of guys. They have an injury or two there, but how have they come together so far early in camp?
I think that's going to be the key to our season. And, yeah, there's a lot of them. And that's Coach Moore's job right now, right? And he's talked a lot about that, and so is Coach Franklin, that they want to find the 5 best guys. That doesn't mean maybe the biggest. But, by the way, this is the biggest we've ever been up front. Probably the biggest team we've ever had, if you look at heights and weights. But it's who works together. And we've got some guys coming back. We've got some new players in there. I mean, clearly the Hokies signed 7 high school offensive linemen and got 4 in the portal. That's 11 new offensive linemen. So I think the first thing that when Coach – one of the interesting things about this whole thing, and we'll see how it turns out, but, Coach Franklin being able to be here in November, if you recall, he had a chance to watch us play and get a sense of strengths and weaknesses. And then obviously with Coach Pry's insight, he had a running start. And I think that's why I say what I let off with, Rick, the talent level is much different today than it was in November when we were getting ready to play UVA.
Right.
And not only that, the culture is different too. When there's a coaching change, it can be really hard. We had some really good, I don't say really good. We had some impactful players bail on us during the course of the season. And, there's Sam Siefkas trying to put a defense together, and the parts that he thought he'd have, he didn't, and it wasn't guys hurt. And I think the culture and the focus, and that goes back to Coach Franklin too, and his staff, right? Not only the coaches, the assistant coaches, but the whole group, from top to bottom, from A to Z, is really impressive.
Couple questions for you, Bill. Brandon asked, Bill, was there a player that you were most excited about seeing here in 2020? Is there one guy that stands out?
See, that's a very good question, Brandon, but that's one that will get me in trouble.
There might be, but there might be a handful of guys too. So, yeah.
Usually when you go into the spring, you say, oh, I really want to watch this guy play, or this mid-year enrollee, right? Oh, this kid signed and he enrolled after graduating high school early. We're going to see him in the spring. I want to see a lot of players, and everyone obviously focuses on the QBs, and rightly so, right? But let me think. Ethan Gronkemeyer and Baker and Hune at quarterback. I'm excited to see what they can do. Kenny Wolseley played at Penn State as a corner, and he played in 13 games last year for Penn State. And I think that'd be someone maybe on defense. Caleb Spencer, that's another guy who played on our team last year, and he's going to be a really valuable guy on this year's team. So, Coach Pry mentioned Asen Stevens yesterday. So there's a lot of guys. See, I'm already getting in trouble.
That's okay, though. That's okay.
Someone's going to emerge, right? I mean, and that's the beauty of football, right? That there's so many players, that there's going to be someone who's going to emerge on maybe more than one person, that we are not talking about right now.
Sure.
You know, maybe it's one of those freshmen, or we've got 6 freshmen or sophomore corners, right? So of that group, you know, their experience level is limited. Someone is going to step up and play really well at corner.
That's right. That's right. Bill, what's your best guess about the attendance at the spring game? What are you thinking is going to end up being the crowd? Just best. I know it's hard because there's no tickets, so you can't really get a direct count. But.
The weather's good. It'll be a great crowd, and it's such a good weekend. It's our Hokie High weekend. It's the Run for Remembrance is that day. Softball and baseball are both home, and you know there's a parents' weekend. It's not the traditional fall parents' weekend. It's essentially the spring version of that as well. So. For those of us that don't have to buy a hotel, it's a great weekend.
That's right.
But I do think it'll be great, and I know Coach Franklin really wants it full. We're going to have some recruits over there. You know, I don't know if there's not a lot of talk about it, but the Hokies got a commitment from a really highly touted defensive lineman out of Baltimore this week. And, you know, the recruiting never stops either. And that's the beauty of having this big staff, is that spring football can be going full speed ahead, and recruiting is going full speed ahead simultaneously. And I'm glad, going back to the Board of Visitors and with Babcock and what they did to get more funding for football, the staffing and the depth of personnel administratively is so much different as well.
Eric asking on the text line, I believe the answer is yes. We're going to be able to hear Bill and Mike on the spring game call again, aren't we?
Yep, yeah. And Zach Mackey. So that'll be 30 minutes pre-kick on the 18th. And you can hear it locally in the NRV on the Bear, as always, but also on our Hokie Sports mobile app and wherever you are worldwide there, and statewide on our radio network. So we're looking forward to it. It's always good to be with Mike, and I know he's energized too, right? There's another example.
Yeah, he is.
You know, it's you know, for all of us, last year was really tough, and it's been not just a 1-year hiatus, so to speak, in what we've seen. And it's not going to be an instant turnaround. I think we all understand that, but boy, you can really see where we're going, and the level of the type of guys that we have, the number of good players is better. Not that we didn't have good players, but the number of really good players is a reason to get excited for sure. And that's not me just being like a salesman for what they're doing. I mean, if you walked out at practice, you'd say, dang, they're bigger. And if you'd watch the QBs throw the ball and watch the Brown kid from Duke, holy smokes. I mean, he was one of the best receivers in our league, and now he's playing for us.
Right.
So, I mean, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't take long to see there's been an upgrade at a lot of positions. But I'm going back to what I said before. For guys like Asen Stevens and Copeland and Caleb Spencer, I mean, the guys that came, they're better players too. And that's what's exciting as well, that the guys who came back, the guys who stayed, Aiden Green, right? The guys who stayed look a lot better than they did. So hopefully the broadcasters will be better too.
Morris says, Bill Roth from the blue waters of the Chesapeake Bay. I'm trying to be more like you, man. Love it. There you go, Morris. Nice. That's nice.
Thank you, Morris. Yeah, we've got a ways to go. I'm excited about and you know, it's interesting. I don't know if you remember, I sat down with Coach. You mentioned it earlier. You referenced it with Mike and I, and I asked him. I said, Coach Franklin, this league is there for the taking, don't you think? And he said, well, I wouldn't have come here if I didn't agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
And as I look at our league, even right now, you know, I guess Miami's got to be the favorite again, but they didn't win it last year. Although they made the championship game. And I think that we're all, and by we, I mean everyone in college athletics is trying to figure this out. It's almost like every year the rules are changing, or something is new and different. And just when you think you've got this portal thing figured out, well, one school does something different. Once you think you've got revenue and eligibility figured out, a school or a judge does something else.
Right.
And you know, the NCAA lost its appeal again in Mississippi. yesterday. So it's you've got to be, I don't know what the way to put it, head on a swivel. It's like you're playing Monopoly, and every time around the board, the rules have changed.
Right.
And so, but they're going to change, right? So just because you've got a bunch of houses on Boardwalk and Park Place this time around, they may not be Park Place the next time.
Sure.
And so if you're an athletic director or a coach, or an attorney, you're watching this, trying to figure out, well, who's in charge, who's running it. But the teams and the schools, I should say, the schools that are that are flexible enough to understand that what the rules are in what's April, right? April of 26. We might be playing under some different rules.
Yeah.
In April of 27.
That's right. That's right.
And basketball too, right? So
yeah.
You just got to know it going in that, okay, we know this, but there's a lot of unknown out there too. And I think that when you're talking about football and you've got hundreds of people involved, it's challenging. And the money, of course, is ridiculous, what you're talking about. But that's not going down. And
no, it's not. It's not.
And it will continue to go up. So yeah, it's a challenging time for administrators because and coaches too, right?
More questions to get the voice of tech.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in good shape here. Whatever you need, man.
All right. Well, here's another one though. It could get you in trouble. How many wins are you expecting here in year number one?
This is going to sound like such a cop-out. I have no feel for Cal's roster or UVA's.
Correct.
Like, I have pretty good sense, and we will, like, after the spring game, and of who we've got and what our team's going to look like. I got no clue what UVA's got.
Exactly.
And and it's not our job to know. We don't play them till November, right? But we know, like, all right, they got the Prabula kid from Missouri, and they got the kid from Pitt, and then last year's QB is suing to get back. I mean, and then it's not just the quarterback. And the same with Cal. I mean, their quarterback, Sangapula Telly, he's back, but they've got a new coach, and we've got to play them on the road. I think Miami showed last year that they had a really good team, and then they filled in with all these parts, but they didn't win our league.
Right.
So, it's I think SMU could be really good again, and we got to go there. So that's a cop-out answer.
No, I say the same thing. I don't know. People are asking me already. I don't know. I want to see. I got to see what else is coming out of spring. I don't know what everybody else has.
I know. Yeah, and it used to be you had a sense, right? Like,
yeah.
Like I know some of my friends in Pittsburgh think Pitt's going to be great. So College Football News has Pitt second in the ACC this year, behind Miami. Well, how can you possibly know that?
I know.
Agreed. They might, right? They might. I'm not saying they won't.
Sure.
But so I think that it would be reasonable to expect that we play in a bowl game. How's that?
There you go. Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% it is. 100%. That's a good answer. How is Baxter? We've got multiple requests. Check. We got the
he's not
chat
here.
room. We got
he's
the
still
text
sleeping.
line. Is he all right? Everybody good with him?
Yeah, my lovable pup. He's still sleeping.
Of course.
He's like, it's 20 after 8 in the morning. No, we're he's usually up. I'm surprised he hasn't walked in because he probably thinks I'm talking to someone else this morning.
Yeah. Well, that's good. He's living the life. We're all jealous of Baxter. We are.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. I hope we can get you on again around the start of the spring game and so forth, and listen to you and Mike. That's
hope everyone can come out. It's great. It's the ultimate in collegiality, right? It's the ultimate. The spring game is fun. You can practice tailgating. You can see friends and have a great time. And this year specifically, because there's a lot of unknown on our squad. And hey, there's nothing better than a Saturday at Lane Stadium. Now, I'm somewhat biased, but I think that's the place to be here in a couple of weeks. 17 days.
Oh, it's going to be – it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
Yeah,
and you
the
do a
spring
great job.
semester's almost over, by the way. I mean, that's the other thing. We got graduation or exams, which are a lot of my students are already stressed over, right? Who isn't, if you recall your days as a college kid.
Absolutely.
And then graduation. So that's all. It's already April 1st. And I think the last day of classes is like May 6th. So we're a month from being finished. And have you noticed that as you get older, time goes faster?
It does, yeah. 100%. Months. Today's April 1st, and I had to be reminded, really? Yeah. It does. But hey, at least we're still here. That's the way I look at it too.
I'm glad you're there, and we'll do this whenever we can squeeze it in. And I'm really looking forward. We've got our Hokie Club Gala on Friday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Game, which is so good to see so many of our great fans in Blacksburg, and then just the whole weekend. Let's just hope for good weather. You asked about the crowd. If the weather's good, Rick, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, right. The weather, if it's raining and nasty, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean there's not enthusiasm, but people are going to automatically.
Well, like anything else, right? I mean, weather's huge. But getting back to the question about how many wins, I think that we have a chance to have a really exciting team, and I think more so than the number of wins this year, I think everyone's going to see the operation of this program. I think if it's a stock, it's a long-term buy right now, and I think that even our rivals would admit, right?
Yeah.
That okay, they're taking it seriously in Blacksburg, and by seriously, I mean the modern era of football. So
sure.
That's what it's just going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of wins in the next few years. A lot of wins in the next few years for us, and big games again, and packed stadiums, and I don't know how that translates into wins in 26, but I think over the next few years you're going to be really excited with the type. You can already see it. So buy those stocks.
Yeah, buy the stock now. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, great to catch up with you, my friend, and have a great rest of. Final Four. Who you got? I forgot to ask. Who you got coming up here on the big games coming up on Saturday?
Well, we did our analytics experiment in class from 3 weeks.
I love that.
And in fact, you can all go back on X, Twitter, and see what they did. So 3 weeks ago, there was in that class, there's 94 students in that class, including a bunch of our current men's basketball players, right? Like Dallas is in that class, and Tony Dorn and Pasha, a bunch of guys. Anyway, and the whole pitching staff on the baseball team. So we got a lot of athletes to take that class. And not that baseball players would know, but I'm just from a perspective of what you're looking at, I see a lot of athletes. They got 3 of the final 4 correct. They had Illinois, which was a 3 seed.
Wow.
They had Illinois.
That's big.
They had Arizona. They had Michigan. And they had Duke. They were one heave away from nailing it.
That's
right.
hard
to do, right? It's like one in 2 billion to nail the 4.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
But they had Duke. And so I had to go, if that's what my class is picking, I'll go with what they say. It's the Arizona-Michigan winner. I would say.
Yeah. Teel likes Michigan. He said Michigan he thinks is going to win it. So we'll see.
They've been at times the one of the most dominant, impressive teams. Arizona's hot, right? But boy, Dusty May, that team. But don't bet against Hurley, man.
No.
He's right where he needs to be, man. He loves this. No one's giving UConn a chance. But I think if Teel picked Michigan, I'm not going against that guy.
Yeah.
He's seen more basketball than Naismith, so we're going with Michigan.
He really has. All right, brother. Have a great week, man. Great to see you again.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks for coming on. There you go. Roth. the voice of Tech football. He's seen more basketball than Naismith. I'm so going to tell Teel next week he said that. That's good. That's good. Thanks to Bill. Bill's great. He's the best. If people always ask me the question, who would you want to hear do a football game? Bill Roth. Just turn everybody else off. I want to listen to Bill call a game. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. All right, Bill Roth. I want Roth on the national championship game. I want to hear him. I want to hear him calling NFL games. He's the best. He's the best. Good stuff. Good stuff. And I thought he handled your tough questions very well. You know, I like that. I like that. Good stuff today. That's a lot of show, peeps. We got Kion Brown, who was great. How about Kion on vacation there at the beach? That didn't suck, did it? Wow, that looked great. Damien Sordelett, David Teel, Bill Roth. Kidding me? Come on. Free value entertainment for you, America. Thanks to everybody in chat, all of our great sponsors we've talked about. We keep it rolling again tomorrow on Thursday. Hope everybody enjoys. Right now, the sun is out. I mean, earlier. I mean, this may not last, but they said it was going to be a cloudy day today. But right now, we've got sunshine. So that's exciting. That's exciting. We'll take that. We'll take that any day. But, yeah, good answers. Good answers and good questions. It's been a great week. We got off to a great start with Marty Smith and Rags, and then yesterday, and then today. We'll have Andy Bitter tomorrow, and Dwight Vick. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on here. Brandon says, I'd love to see Morris is all in with Tech winning it all. Brandon says, I'd love buying my stock like Roth. Yep. That was a good analogy Bill used. Yeah. Long-term investment, long-term stock investment. Yeah. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day, and everybody take care, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Thursday edition. All right, please subscribe, like, share the channel, encourage other people to do so, and we shall see you tomorrow.